You are watching Minute to Skim It on the Experience, so hello. All right, we've got lots of books to review for you guys today. And Hannah just basically showed up just the number ones and showed them to me, and I was like, oh, we have
just for the indies.
Just for the indies, yeah. I was like, we have got a lot to do.
Hey, it's Kyle. Welcome in to the pull list. We're here every Tuesday night on the Comic Book Shopping Experience, the EXP. We're here to talk about your pull list, which is the books that you've got coming out at your local comic shop this week that you should be picking up. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to talk about my pull list. What's up, everybody? It's Kyle. How's it going? Well, I got to tell you guys, we're starting off. I know we're a few minutes behind, but we're starting off with a big bombshell of a thing. We are joined by a man who doesn't know the meaning of the word decaf, Onrie Kompan.
No decaf.
No decaf. Neither of us have decaf. Like, you can tell by the energy in the room right now that both of us are like this close to having our hearts explode from excitement. But the reason Onrie is here, I want to set this up, is that we're going to show you the interview that Miss Jen did with a couple of like multi-threat creators. Onrie, who's here, Mog Park, and Afua Richardson from our EXP Expo. But big news, big announcement time. Huge.
It's huge.
Like huger than my head. Huge.
It's huge Jackman. Huge
Jackman.
Yeah.
Huge Jackman. Onrie has a show debuting Friday on the Experience. Yes. So tell us your show. Tell us what it is. Tell us what it's about. Tell us who you're having.
Awesome. Okay, guys. So for those of you who follow me on my regular channel, I debuted a show in the beginning of January called Virtual Signings with Onrie, where I bring on creators to do virtual signings for you guys. And we have recently worked out an outstanding agreement with the EXP, and we are now bringing Virtual Signings with Onrie to the EXP, and we're debuting this Friday, and we got an awesome guest for our first show. We got a huge lineup, and our focus on the EXP is to get more creator-owned comics into your hands. So we're bringing on a lot of creator-owned creators and writers, artists, people who basically are doing this stuff at the ground level. And here's the thing about it. This has been my opinion since the beginning, being a creator-owned creator myself. It can be hard to get your stuff seen in comic shops. It can be hard to get your stuff placed in comic shops when you have big publishers basically hogging up all the space. So what Virtual Signings with Onrie is really set up for is it's for you guys. It's for the fans. It's giving you guys a chance to interact with some of these creators, because a lot of them either have experience working at the bigger companies or are working with people who have experience working with the big companies, or just, they just want to do things their way, and it's beautiful and great for that reason alone. And you may not see it unless you're at a comic convention in a particular place or a particular time. The beautiful thing about Virtual Signings with Onrie, the live event show, is that you guys get to hang out, ask these creators questions, and pick up their work and get their stuff signed right in front of your screen. You don't even have to lift a finger. You don't have to wait in any lines. You don't got to do nothing. You get to hang out at home and you get to meet these creators. It's fantastic. It's a great way to get connected with them, so that when they launch Kickstarters or they do something like that, you get to be at the front row of everything. You get that access, and it's free. The best part is it's free.
Right. So here at the experience, hey, I got it right almost the first time that time. Here at the experience, we've got 2 missions, right? To promote the local comic book shops and to promote the people who are doing the job. Promote the people who are out there making the stuff that we all love. And so what I think is great about virtual signings is that you get to support the people who are out there doing what we all love, making it, and you get to support them directly to them. And that doesn't take away from your ability to go into a local comic shop and pick up other work that they've done. But what it does is it lets you to have that direct connection with the creator. Direct connection.
Mm-hmm. I just want to add too. This also gives these creators local comic shop exposure. Because once you buy their work, you go to your local comic shop, you hand them a copy of that book that's signed, and you say, you know what, I'd like to order that book. Maybe you can't necessarily get it through Diamond, right. and there you go. Now your local comic shop is stocking books from a creator that could be from a completely different side of the globe.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's what's great is that we want to support the people who are making the work as well as the people who bring you the work. And this is an opportunity to do both. So that debuts what time? 7 o'clock Eastern?
6 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Mountain Time, and 4 p.m. Pacific on Friday.
I'm glad you did the work. I'm glad you did the math. Because I was going to say really 7 Eastern and then subtract 1 for every time zone you go further. But, it's 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 Central, 5 Mountain, 4 Pacific. Immediately following So Much Cosplay with Cheryl Whited, which is a show where you can learn how to make cosplay and learn about the tools you need for making cosplay. Last week she showed me how to sew. I don't know how to sew. She showed me how to sew. It was wild.
That's amazing. I can't sew.
No, me either. If a button falls off my pants, I just throw the pants away and buy new pants. But we're gonna switch over. We're gonna bring you the interview that Onrie did. It's Onrie and Jen and Mog, and Mog. Mog did the game. She did Game of Thrones, right?
Yes, she did. And she's doing a variant cover for Yisun Chin, my comic series. Mm-hmm. She's doing a variant cover for that, and we announced that actually officially on this interview. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, and Mog is a great host, and she does a lot of work bringing artists and creators together. Her 101 Stories was amazing, and she's doing so much. And then Afua Richardson, who will be back at the end of the month as part of our Black Comix Universe that we're doing with Peep Game Comics, celebrating Black History Month. Afua is like, we were talking the other day, I go, she's like an octuple threat. Oh, if there's a threat, she is it. She's wouldn't shock me if she's also like a CIA trained killer because she has every other skill.
Her husband's actually like a professional fighter, and he's like taught her how to fight and stuff. Like I have conversations with him all the time. He's the nicest guy in the world.
See, this is what I'm saying. Afua can do it all. She'll be back at the end of the month, but she is on this panel as well. So I want to thank Onrie for coming and hanging out with me and setting this up. I know he was in the middle of shopping for comics. I'm going to let him get back to that because I got to do the same thing. I already did my pull list. I already picked that up, but there's some other stuff I'm looking for. So we're going to bring in, we're going to throw in that, we're going to bring you the interview now. I should really be better at this.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you, Onrie. Tune in Friday night, 7 Eastern, 6 Central, 5 Mountain, 4 Pacific for virtual signings with Onrie. And who's your guest?
Ted Sikora, who owes me dinner. He owes me dinner. I want everybody on the EXP, everybody in the comics world to know that Ted Sikora owes me dinner. He's also got a Kickstarter right now for a brand new comic series called Bloom. Go on Kickstarter, back that book, get on it. It's awesome stuff.
Also, Tap Dance Killer. You can't go wrong with Tap Dance Killer. So, All right. Here's the interview. See you, everybody. We're going to bring in some great people who I actually met all of them through you, and I've become huge fans of everybody. So let's bring in, we'll start because she was, she's alphabetically first and she's awesome. Afua Richardson, Mog Park, and because he has the least hair, Onrie Kompan.
What's up? How y'all doing?
Is this how we define things now? Facial hair?
Yeah, I got facial hair. I shaved it all off my head and glued it on my face.
Oh my goodness gracious.
I'm trying, Afua. It's really hard. When you get older and uglier, you have to really get creative. This is a concoction.
I know I have to get sparklier.
No, you got a natural beauty.
Yeah, I have to get more colorful.
Oh, well, don't even get me
Exactly, you
started.
understand.
Yes.
I hope you guys hit it off well.
Weirdly, I think everyone on this panel could rock a bald head.
I have an apple head. It's got valleys and peaks.
I think mine's shaped like a pumpkin. Something really weird and long and wide.
It's like an egg.
Well, like an egg, yes, like an egg, and it's white too. If I was a Batman one, I'd be egghead. Straight up.
Oh my gosh! So did everyone have a really good holiday? Did you enjoy having today off?
There's no stopping.
No.
There's no. I work through every holiday.
Afua, how was your husband's birthday yesterday? What'd you guys get to go do?
Oh, it was nice. We actually did stop working for a little while. We went on a hike. It was really, really great. And yeah, we were like the outside world. We leave our homes sometimes.
Weirdly, I think my husband and I, that's what we do also to bond, because it's kind of nice to go walk. You get to chat with each other, and it's very freeing to be outside.
Yeah, definitely. We hit one of those Korean saunas, and we were like, we should be nice to ourselves more often.
Have you guys gotten to the point in your relationship? I've been married like 28 years. So now when we get to the point where we have birthdays and anniversaries, we don't really want to give each other things because it just means more things to clean around.
Yeah. We just want to go places and do things and travel.
Yeah, those things. Exactly.
But he did. I mean, I know it was his birthday, but he got me this, which makes me incredibly happy.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Is that like some version of Gudetama?
It is with a mermaid tail.
That's awesome.
I keep it close by my desk.
But
Like, you can do this.
Hold on, wasn't it his birthday though?
I know.
And he got you a gift. He's such a kind man. I love Cameron. He's a man.
He was like, you're so happy. It is a gift to me. And I'm like, what? I was laughing for a couple of hours. It's ridiculous.
Oh man. All right, so let's start with Afua. We're talking to you. You have so many talents, and you've worked in so many different aspects of just entertainment and comic books. Where did you start? What was the first thing?
Oh wow, it's almost hard to remember. Music came first. I was a flautist from about 9 to now. I stopped for a couple of years somewhere in my 20s, but I'm a singer, a songwriter, a voice actor, a comic book artist. Trying to be a writer. I'm trying.
Were you a band kiddo? Did you have to fight for the first chair?
And you know what? I just let people have it. People were fighting and bringing their moms and, like giving people eye daggers for first chair. And I didn't care. I wanted to make music. I actually liked sitting further back because you could hear more of the music. Like that was a really great experience for me, like sitting in an orchestra or in a concert hall at a really young age, and then being able to hear all the parts flying around my head. I was like, yeah, you know what? You can keep all that first chair, like right near the front. You have to sit perfectly and everything. That's great. I like it back here where you get like the wind from the trumpets on one side and then the clarinets on the other. You might get tinnitus, but it's a lot of fun anyway.
So funny. I started out doing the flute, which I love very much. But I grew up in a really small town, and so they, you need the other woodwinds, and so I can remember they took the first like 3 chaired folks, and said, "Hey, we're gonna show you some other instruments. We need you to pick one." Kind of like, please do. Not like that wasn't a forced thing. It was just like, here, come into this room with this other instrument and see if you like it. And the teacher that they brought us to first was the bassoonist, and I fell in love right away. And then I realized the next one was the oboe, and I could have like saved myself some back pain if I had just waited like half an hour.
These are both very, very unique sounds. They're some of my favorite instruments.
Did you ever try doing the piccolo also?
I did, and I lost it. So I decided not to give myself such a small instrument. I tried bass flute and I nearly passed out. That was a tough one. That takes a lot of air. I was like you were just hawking up a lung for that one. I couldn't do it.
I see your fluffy baby in the background.
Yes, this is Persephone. She likes to keep me company while I'm drawing. Her siblings will be around.
There's nothing like a cat. I know there's people out there that aren't cat people, but if you are a cat person, you're just like having a rotten day, cat on your lap will fix anything.
It's true. It's like, well, I made it. Cat. It's true.
And they just magically appear there. It's like they know. They're like, oh, my human needs healing.
It's true.
It is absolutely true. I grew up with cats. I love cats.
Yeah, me too. The funny thing is, me and my friend, we always used to live together, and we had 5 cats. And when I had a bad day, none of them came to me. I had to grab them.
The other thing about cats is that if they don't forget ever. So if you ever like forget to clear their cat box or forget to feed them as you leave the house, they will let you know.
Yeah, I was just taking care of my parents' cats for the last 2 weeks because they left for vacation, and I'm like recording in their basement. And every time I walk in the house, they're like both there because one time I literally forgot to feed them, and they like every day. And this cat was always afraid of me and would always like run away every time I'd come near it. This time she was like all up in my grill, like all day long. It's funny.
I was just telling Afua, I finally got to see, because I don't have HBO, so I didn't have a chance to watch any of the cool Lovecraftian masterpiece that everyone else has got to watch. And it was, I thought what I was getting into was that they were saying, here, have a free, watch at this series, and I was going to get to blow through the series. And so you always watch it in a different frame of mind, right? So you're like going, I'm just going to try this out is what I should have been thinking, instead of like, I'm going to totally be bought into this so I can like consume it. And so I get to the end of the first episode, so happy that your work is in the first episode, because otherwise I just like lost my mind and pulled out all my money from my pocket to buy the whole series, which I'm still probably going to do anyway. But it was so wonderful to see it on the screen, and man, that is a great show. If no one else is watching that yet, man, how did that happen?
I was recommended for Lovecraft Country by a couple of different people, and thankfully it was filmed very close to my home in Atlanta, Georgia, and so that meant that I was on site for a lot of it. So I got to see a lot of the sets and work directly with Misha Green, who's the executive producer, and JP Jones, who's the prop master who makes everything that the actors touch that isn't wardrobe. So from the swords to the armor to even the hand-bound books, I got to work with them directly, and I was responsible for all the art underneath Jada Harris, who is Dee or Diana Freeman. And I drew her comics, the little drawings on the atlas, and her mother, Hippolyta, has a travel comic. And so I did that as well. And since you haven't seen it yet, I won't spoil it for you. But the characters, the comic itself that her nerdy family draws is actually kind of like I wouldn't say it's integral, but it is a part of of the storyline. So it was really, really cool to be a part of that and see just such a massive production up close. And it's so drastic from any of the other kinds of projects that I've gotten to work on. And I've worked in comics for about 15 years now. And so this was my first film project where I'm directly involved. And so, I mean, I've had a chance to work on things like Black Panther before it was a film, and Captain Marvel and things like that, but both for Marvel and DC. But this was a very, very unique experience. So they specifically wanted a Black woman to not only draw the comic, but to teach Jada how to draw, so that when she has the art underneath her hand, it'll look a little bit more natural. Not like she is not drawing that, but so we had art lessons and a couple of hours of just showing her how I drew these things, and I got to design Hippolyta's hair. So Diana Freeman, her parents, George and Hippolyta, create a book called the Safe Negro Travel Guide, which in, I want to say, the 40s and 50s, it was based on the Green Book, which a gentleman who lived in New York, who traveled around the South, found out where Blacks and minorities were welcomed and where they weren't. And so this was based on that. And so she kind of sees her parents as superheroes. And so in the very beginning, you see Panther Man, which of course is hats off to Black Panther. But she creates a new series called Orthia Blue. And so it was fun kind of going back and forth and saying like, okay, well, will we give her this kind of hair? We'll give her the Betty Rebel. We'll make it blue. We'll make it, a big afro. And I was like, an afro might be a little difficult under a space helmet, but we can make it work. We can whatever you're feeling. And so it was fun to just kind of go between all the different sections of wardrobe and props and special effects and so on, and just see all that went into that. So it was an absolute honor to be just a small, tiny part of thousands of people coming together to make this.
But you really stood out, though, and you and I had conversations about that too, which is just really awesome. I remember when you revealed to me that clip like weeks before it got aired, and for those of you guys who don't know, and I won't spoil it, but Afua gets some mad props in this show, and I was so proud of you when you showed me that, because I know how hard you're working, and just with everything you got going on, it's really amazing. And your Kickstarter, I told you were going to kill it on there.
Thank you. Yeah, I just finished my very first Kickstarter for my first creator-owned book that's going to come out through Image Comics, called Aquarius: The Book of Mer. And it's a modern retelling of mermaid myths and legends from all over the world. It'll be an ongoing series, but a quarterly comic, since I'm writing and drawing and making music for each issue. I'm like, I'll give myself time. And since I'm, wearing so many hats, I decided to wear all of those hats on this particular book. So this is a kind of a new venture for me, and plus, since I worked on Lovecraft Country and I got to see so many different genres and different stories and different elements come together, I felt like I had a little bit more confidence to say, okay, you know what? One, I'm just coming off the heels of this amazing show and this really, really awesome shout out within the show. I'm kind of like a off-screen character, which is cool. Thinking to myself, okay, if someone can trust me with, first some of the most amazing characters at Marvel and DC, and then with a project of this scale, then my ideas aren't so bad. Let me try to tell my story and put those kinds of things forward. And of course, Onrie was, he was encouraging me along the way, and just through this whole pandemic and everything last year, I was like, you know what? I might as well give it a try.
I know that we've got someone in the chat that's asking, how can they get that? Now that the Kickstarter's closed, how would they, where would they get it next?
Well, I'm going to be launching pre-orders tomorrow. So if you go to afuarichardson.com, I have a store there, but you can also sign up for the mailing list. So when that launches, it'll be in your inbox. And there were a lot of people who couldn't get some of the add-ons, so I'm going to offer some of those on my store for pre-order as well.
That's wonderful. So who have you worked with that you want to work with again in comic books?
Ooh. I worked a little bit with Scott Snyder. He's a really, really nice guy and just such a natural writer. I hope we get the chance to work on something again. I was going to work on a run of Batman, of All-Star Batman, and then I slipped and fell and really injured my neck. And it still kind of sounds like wood, but I couldn't turn my head more than this. Like I had like Batman neck, ironically, so it kind of cut our issue short.
So
but he was
sorry,
understanding.
man.
It happened.
There'll be other ones to work on, I'm sure.
Definitely.
And who have you not worked with yet that you really, really crave to work with?
Neil Gaiman and Gail Simone.
Yeah.
And Onrie.
Wow, really? Me too? Yeah. Wow. That's a first. Wow, thank you. I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, well, honestly, Afua, you really helped me through a lot of the stuff I was going through with COVID too. And we were both, you and I met on the convention front lines like in 2019, and like you were just such an inspiration to me. And I would say we got a lot tighter once COVID came into place, because that's when we were kind of like stopped and everything. And honestly, like I owe a lot of my next project to you. I think a lot of it is in many ways dedicated to you, because you really helped. We were really there for each other in that time. Like
yeah, man.
The point where everything I was writing was just crud, and I'm still writing that entire script with the delete button. But you got me out of myself. I was in a really dark place. So I appreciate you saying that. That means a lot.
I mean, that's really kind of the cool thing about the comic book industry. I'm sure it exists in some other industry, but I'm in this one, so I see it the most, is that I really don't see so much creators being in competition with each other, but more trying to lift each other up. So it's a wonderful industry to be part of.
Because we know how hard it is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
we all got
of
brought
course,
up, right?
Yeah, I mean, there are always some folks who are like competitive in an unhealthy way. Like, Moog, have you had the experience where people are just, they see your work and they see how good you are, and they think like, oh, well, you have it easy. Like, you get to do what you love. And it's like, do you have any idea like, how difficult this work actually is? It's not like physical labor where you're like lifting bricks and out in the sun or anything like that, but to kind of like pull your experiences and then be able to perform well no matter how you're feeling, no matter what you're going through. And so it's nice when I'll get a job or I'll get a job offer and I can't do it, and I'm like, ooh, this sounds like a really great opportunity. This artist over here is amazing. Please give them your money. Mm-hmm. Because in my mind, it's not like, oh, this person's gonna take all the jobs. Take my job. No, it's more like, please get wealthy doing your craft. We can form Voltron and save the universe. Yes. Yes. Like, we can make awesome things together. Like, that's what I want.
Absolutely truth. Now, Mog is interesting. Mog's the one person I met by not meeting them, because I actually saw you had, I volunteered for Aloha Con the last time it was on, and they had a pallet that had been left there because I guess the last Aloha Con that was before that had been like tsunami'd out or something. So they just like abandoned all the things there and then just like reopen those pallets the next year. And your work was there in a little mini comic. So I'd seen your name, and when I finally like met you kind of like social media, I was like, I know that person already, but in a weird way.
Well, I'm glad you remember me through the work.
Yes.
Yeah, that's actually the best compliment I think as an artist, is that you're, instead of my face, I don't care what you look like. If you remember my work, I think that's the truest compliment. So thank you.
Absolutely. I was just so sad that I knew that those books weren't going to probably get into hands the same way that they were intended to, because they were meant for a specific time and place.
It was like definitely I was trying to help Jimmy promote and also promote myself, like cross marketing. And yeah, I made those books, and I'm glad you I hope you nabbed one, because they don't exist anymore.
Wow. I made sure they ended up on the pallet that got taken back and they were not abandoned anywhere. So they're somewhere. Jimmy's probably got them stashed somewhere and doesn't remember. Mog, tell us how where do you work in the comic book industry? What do you do?
I'm like all over the place. Yeah, like Afua probably knows.
I should have said, what don't you do?
Recently, let's see. I'm doing a lot more comic covers, which is great. It's all helping out independent artists. That's how I actually got to meet Onrie. But actually, I knew him before I met him at a con. He doesn't recognize me. I was just, quiet.
I totally know who you were. I remember I met you. I forgot what show it was. I think was it Atlanta or something? It was somewhere on the East Coast, because I don't really get out west much, and I really want to get out to the Hawaii Con at some point. Well, now I definitely have to.
I was like, it was just really weird, because you were doing the comic Isunshin, and it's based off a Korean general, and so I thought, Isunshin, oh my god, who's doing this? And I asked this white guy that was on the booth,
white guy whose head is shaped like an egg.
Yeah. Where's the author, man?
Where? Chicago. That's right. Chicago is my hometown.
Yeah. And then suddenly this white guy is like, oh yeah, I'm the creator, I'm this and that, and I know everything. So of course, being me, because I'm kind of very detailed in a way. I like information. And what I'm doing is, as I'm questioning you, I'm comparing the notes that I have in my mind, just to see if you really knew your shit.
You were getting drilled.
I'm analytical like that.
I get drilled all the time. It happens all the time. They put me on game shows in Korea, and I had to learn the language and everything. It was no joke, But we'll get to that. Mog, you're up, and I'm fascinated with what you have to say. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I wish I was nice like Afua and people orientated, but I'm just very interested in facts. Facts, man.
So we should associate with you in PBS terms. We should just watch Novas together. That would be good.
Oh, I don't know. But anyway, so yeah, and then I thought this is but you seem like a really very professional guy, and I thought I would never associate with you in some way. I don't know, because you're like, man, this guy is so professional.
She didn't say it to my wife, because my wife's like, You're the most vile human being I've ever laid eyes on.
Okay.
You just see me at conventions. That's it. I appreciate the compliments, though.
Yeah.
But Mom, your artwork, especially like the stuff that I've been seeing come out of you on Artist Alley Shopping Network, and just in general, like even before, like you worked on Game of Thrones, dude. Like you are like, you know, both you and Afua bring so much to the table in terms of like your backgrounds. You guys like have worked on some of the hottest TV shows in history. Like Game of Thrones, you were designing the sets. And I remember when I had you on Live with Onrie, you were like talking about how you did all this research in order to like nail like all the jobs and everything that they gave you. And you built out these beautiful, beautiful sets. And just the Batman Samurai stuff you're doing, it's like, I'm blown away by your artwork. It is sensational, sensational.
Okay, thank you. You know, speak for me. I'll just be quiet in the corner.
I just, you know, this is what I love about this business is that like we meet so many like interesting people like Afua. Afua has this intuition, and we've had conversations before where she just puts things into perspective, like so like naturally, just because of her own experiences and her background. Like when I got to know you, Mog, I discovered like you're somebody who collects information because you want to do the best you possibly can. And I think that is such an important aspect of what we do. And, you know, like, especially when it comes to art, because of course people are going to grill you. Of course people are going to like say like, oh, everybody's someone's always got something to say. Someone's always got some critique, and you got to have an answer to it. And even if the answer's not right, and I got plenty of stories where they weren't, you still got to kind of shrug your shoulders and say, you know, whatever. But in your case, there's no disputing your artwork, the level of detail, the quality of it. It's just truly marvelous. And you got these metal prints that you're doing now, and they're awesome. I need to get on that.
Tell us more about the
Wow.
prints. I want to know about those.
Yeah.
I don't know. Am I lagging by any chance? Is it me?
I think everyone's got a little bit of glitch.
It could be, yeah, it could. I think Jen's right. Everybody's got a little bit of lag.
Yeah. I don't know. I really do believe that to become like success in any area, you can't do it alone. And I learned to become more of a people person thanks to my spouse. My spouse was the one who really shaped me, shaped the career. We're like a working team together, and he would like coach me. I'm like the athlete, he's the coach. So the print was like his idea, and he created these like metal prints that I did some like sketch covers for, and these are variations that is based on like famous like Marvel characters or DC characters, and I would change their design into more of either a Japanese aesthetic design, like sometimes an armor, sometimes ninja, sometimes some kimono in there, stuff like that. And then I guess it turned out well, because now we're selling that as a print. So and they're medals. So exactly like what Mel just wrote in the comments there. I mean, that's what it is. I hope I answered your question. I'm not sure because there's like a lag. I can't really hear.
So I have, this is just my thought process, since Marvel's been doing some really killer covers recently with their thinking about the Amazing Spider-Man cover that they recently released. That was
God,
string art. Yeah. I think honestly, this is my honest opinion. If they took your art, Mog, and actually put it on a book, it would sell so many stinking copies. I can't even tell you how many I would order.
Mog, once she's done talking to you and getting everything from you, can I tell her what you and I talked about last week?
For me?
For Mog.
Okay.
Is that for Mog?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, cool. Sorry.
What's up?
Well, so we're going to be doing a Kickstarter for the next issue of Eastern Shin, and I have asked Mog to do a variant cover for us, and she totally agreed. And so I am so freaking excited about it, and she's just such a phenomenal artist, and this is such an important issue. And she right away, just out the door, started asking me like all these questions in order to like really get a sense of what we're doing. And it's interesting that you brought up variants, Jen, because there are some covers that get certain attention for certain reasons, like a certain artist is on there, there's a limited amount of copies on there, or in particular, the work just really stands out and it really like just helps sell the book. And I've seen some of Mog's like Batman samurai, armor pieces. That just belongs on a Batman cover. Just throw it on there, make it like a 1 in 25 incentive. You got that thing will sell all day long.
You're gonna laugh at me. I've got a partner in crime who's another comic book store owner. Everyone knows Brainy Singh. He's like messaging me right now. Let's make a variant cover with Mog as the cover artist.
You're
Right on, man. Yeah, but just out of curiosity, like as a creator of what, like, or also, I'd like to know if it's okay you share with us when you create like a piece. What is your process like? Because like I do a lot of info thing, and I want to know how you work.
Kind of the same way, I guess. It depends on the project. If I'm drawing something for myself, I do ridiculous amounts of research, from textures to locations, textiles. If it's animal based, or since I'm working on a mermaid book, I'll study the region, and then what animals are local to the area, what legends are local to the area, what historical figures I can possibly braid into the storylines. But if it's something that's known, like Black Panther or Dracula or Dark Phoenix, or something that doesn't necessarily have a history outside of the fictional world, what I'll start with from my client is usually discovery, a lot of questions. What's the feeling of what's going on? Can you give me a synopsis? Like, what do you want this to convey? What's kind of the apex moment of this that I won't be, giving a spoiler of, but just try to get as much emotional and as well as like detailed information about the story as possible. And then when I sit down to start drawing, I won't necessarily start with a sketch. I'll start laying out diagonals on the page. Like I'll connect my corners and then create all these vertices. And then I'll start laying out like, okay, well, where's the text going to go? How much space do I have? And then what kind of composition do I want to create with the space I have left over? And then I'll start like creating these different dimensions within the vertices and the different things that I make there. And sometimes that doesn't work at all. And I just have to sit, I have to leave the house, take a sketchbook, and like sit in a coffee shop and just doodle thumbnails first before I take it to the computer, like whichever way gets the result. And if all of that fails and I'm just having a terrible art day, I have to go and go back to the basics and go out and live draw, or I'll go to like New Masters Academy or lineofaction.com, and I'll start doing figure drawing and drawing what I see, so that when I'm trying to restore my memory banks, it's from real life and not just my pulling on an empty well of my mind. How about you?
Wow, that's like, this is what I love about it. It's like the way it's different. Of course, the pattern is we do info gather, right? Mm-hmm. But I think with you, it seems like I hear sometimes artists do this. They say this to me, that it's they have to get an emotion, like they have to kind of get a feeling. It's like a feeling orientation. But for me, feeling is like the last thing I consider. I don't really care about that. I just want facts. So when people give me like an information, it depends on the person. If the creator, right? It really depends on the creators, and then you get to see how they write. Like I'll say, hey, so I'm doing a cover or something, and then tell me about this character, and they'll say, oh, this character is about the history of this character and then the feeling of it. But for me, it's like, okay, that's good, but what's the age? What's the eye color? Come on, give me the like freaking details. Like, give me solid facts, man. but I noticed like with creators, that's kind of I don't know. It's because they do so much creative work, that like abstract creative work, that the detail or the solid like physical reality is not like their interest. I think that's just the general tendency. So I feel sometimes like I'm kind of mean. Like, hey, I know you gave me like 10 pages. Can you give me the
things that you need to make?
Like, what's the race? Like, come on, does he have a beard? Like, I want to know.
That's super vital.
Yeah,
when people
I sometimes feel terrible, but you know, I really want to know, because that would help me.
Necessary. It's like, oh man, I've had a few nightmares where I've worked on comics, and I'll do the thumbnails, I'll do the sketches, I'll do the pencil work, and then from my rough layouts, I'll go right to inks and colors at the same time, since I'm working in Illustrator, man. And then after I've gone through all of that and like finish this page in a vector program, it's like, oh yeah, sorry, that person, he's Latino and he should have like a mustache, and I'm like, no, nowhere in the script, nowhere did you put that really important detail that I should have known. Like, you just like, there are some books where it's just like, this is supposed to be a historical book. It was like, just draw anything. And then when I draw it, it's like, they wouldn't be wearing a dress. I was like, I don't know who this is. Jean Grey.
Not Jean Grey.
Oh my word.
Like, I've turned off Cerebro. I can't like scoop this out of your mind.
Robin has a question. I think this was aimed at Afua. I think we were still talking about your art process, and I think they wanted to ask that question.
With the writing process, I don't know. Sometimes it'll spark from an idea, or usually just a question, like where did this particular thing come from? Where did the concept of mermaids come from? How many indigenous soldiers were there in World War I? You know, just something random where you start going down this rabbit hole and you start answering the questions. Like, well, what if, you know, this, you know, the most decorated Canadian French Micmac soldier who is a sniper and had 374 confirmed kills in World War I had, you know, some mermaid dust with him for good luck, like whatever it was in that leather pouch that he carried with him everywhere, and he only got sick when he lost it. Like, just kind of taking things that exist, kind of like hip hop, where you're just like, all right, I've got this classical beat, and I'm just going to morph it into something that that feels like it could be true, but it's absolutely not true. But you want to know the answer to anyway.
So I just had like a thought in my brain, and it's probably a dumb question. The music that's going to be part of the book, is it your original music?
Yes.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. Oh my God, it's so good. Oh, I got to hear like multiple tracks. You're so good. It's amazing. I just want the album. I mean, I want the book too, but I want the album. I'm going to be listening. I like Afua, everything you've shared with me. And of course, I've seen just a little bit, but I heard the music, the song that you played on your Kickstarter. I definitely heard that one while you were developing it and everything. And it was so beautiful. Your your sense of music, your lyrical flow, just everything about your music speaks to so many different things. And really, I think that the book and the soundtrack are really companion pieces. Like, I don't think anybody who is backed the Kickstarter realizes how much the two go hand in hand. Like, you really need the soundtrack. Like, you need it like really bad. So good. Sorry, I can't shut up.
Thank you. No, I'm glad that you're so excited about it.
I am, because it's great. It's just it like, the one thing I was thinking about when you were answering your question was about the writing process, right? And I keep thinking to myself, like, what it's like writing, and really it's kind of like I saw the image of committing seppuku, like where you just cut yourself, and that's literally what J.M. DeMatteis taught me to do with Marx, is just cut yourself open, bleed out on the page. And that's how I felt when I listened to your music, is that you did that with your music, and you're doing it with your book. Everything you've shown me, and I've read some of your scripts. The scripts are beautifully written. So much detail, so much going on cerebrally, because the scene I read was a dream sequence, and it's hard to write dream sequences, like, because there's so much going on. There's so much randomness to it. But the way you wrote it, there was this understanding of something very personal and intimate that was going on in your life. And just the artwork I've seen from the book, the conversations we've had, there is no book I'm more excited for in 2021. I'm more excited for Book of Mare than I am of anything I'm working on, for sure. It's going to be such an awesome book. And there's a David Mack variant. You guys want to talk about a book that's going to have a cover that's going to sell out real quick? Get that David Mack variant. As soon as you see it in previews, order up on that. I know I'm going to do that.
Basically, I'm just doing like a print on. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I'm such a sucker for books that teach you something also. So yeah, it's totally down my alley. I'm sure everybody else feels the same way. So you get music, which you can really enjoy and learn something, and just consume amazingly good art. Man,
I love lore. I love weird historical facts. Like in this process of writing the story, it's kind of like I'm allowing myself to literally go everywhere, like from indigenous cultures to sci-fi to quantum physics. I get to have conversations with my dad about like time travel and getting into religious territory, or even some of the lineage of French and English royalty connected to the Starbucks mermaid. I know it sounds completely random, but Melusine de Lusignan is apparently the genetic ancestor. You know how it is with bards. It's like, we own this land because we are related to a dragon / mermaid. And so there's stories like that where it's like there were these battles over territories, and they hired someone who was like a Rosicrucianist and an amazing writer to write the history of their family as it's related to a fae and the Scottish king. The king of Scotland. It was like, what? Dragon ladies?
Was that the weirdest thing you found out, or there weirder things even?
It gets weird. Like there was a dam in Zimbabwe that halted construction because Unjuzu, which is a Zimbabwe mermaid creature, scared them out of work. Like they went down into the hole where they were digging, and then they come running out like, we are not going in there. There is Unjuzu. And like they hire new people who don't believe in Injuzu, and then they go down there and they come back up and they're like, listen, we don't know what that is, but we believe in Injuzu now, and we're not going back down there. And so they hire like foreign workers who are white, who who have never heard of Injuzu, who like have not heard of this at all, and just they were like, "Do you believe in mermaids?" They were like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, no, of course not. And they go down there and they come running back out, and they're like, "Listen, look, there's some kind of wild animal down there, and we're not." This was in like 2012. This isn't even like a long time ago. This was recent.
They went about it all wrong. And here's something I could say. If they would have brought her down some chocolate, some flowers, maybe a dinner, a nice dinner, I think they would have had they would have come to an understanding. That's still incredible, though. That's something that's going to really stick in my head.
The Minister of Water made a beer to get rid of her, or it. I don't know if it was male or female. Like, yeah.
Yay.
They made a beer. They made a special kind of beer and did a ceremony, and then it was gone. He said he didn't believe in Injuzu, but the locals did, and it got rid of whatever was down there. And I'm like, and those are the kinds of, yes, exactly, Robin. Got to get the treat right, So whatever it was,
just buy a beer. Alcohol is the best
Buy
solution.
a beer. That's it. Just take care of it. It's done.
I mean, this is so fascinating because even in like rituals and ceremonies that we conduct in the Far East, always you got to have alcohol.
I was going to say,
wine and spirits.
Mog's response is the most Korean response ever. Just bring a beer, dude. That's it. That's what it's all about.
You guys, I can just see the commercial now. It's like, have mermaids in your septic system? IPA.
IPA.
That's awesome.
Onrie,
Yes.
we need to know more. I mean, you've got two series that I love so much. The one about your grandfather, about Marx. Do you have a picture of it? I forgot to grab it.
I have it right here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Tell everybody about that. It's I know that's the nearest and dearest to your heart. So
It is. It very much so is. Marx is the story of my grandfather's life, and during World War II, he was a Russian Jewish soldier that battled the Nazis. And it's a standalone story. There are no sequels or prequels to it. And the thing that's really special about Marx is it features three very distinctive art styles. I wanted the book to have consistency, and whenever I take on comic projects that I self-publish, I really want consistency. That's the most important thing. Whether it means the covers and the artwork on the interiors are the same, that's always been a really important thing for me. Well, I didn't get that wish with Marx. What ended up happening was I ended up having to hire 3 different artists because the feel of the book changed so dramatically throughout my grandfather's life. So my grandfather had a pretty rough upbringing, and he was raised in communist Russia, and his mother died when he was 10 years old from complications during childbirth. And when he was 14, his father was killed by Stalin. He was just taken off to he was probably shot and thrown in the ditch. And he was actually a very prominent I forgot what kind of doctor he was, but he was a pretty, I don't know why it's slipping, it's just been a long day, but he basically had a plaque dedicated to him in Pasteur Institute. He wrote a bunch of research papers, and he was just a really prominent figure in communist Russia, and he got whacked. So my grandpa was an orphan by the age of 14, and then he turned 18, and the Germans invaded Russia, and he was basically thrust into war. And his stories of survival were just insane. There was this one story he told me, and this is the interesting thing about this was I decided to tell this book from my perspective, and it was really hard for me to do that because I didn't want to put myself into the story. And it was really my editor who forced that out of me. And it took me 5 years to write this. I'm a slow writer. I couldn't work for Marvel or DC or any of these bigger companies because I just can't make that deadline. I'm just literally every time I write comics, it's like I cut myself open and bleed out on the page, and it takes a while. And there was actually a question I had for Afua and Mog, which was, what do you do on those days where you can't come up with, good ideas? How do you force yourself to do it? Because there's just times when I can't, and I had to, because my editor told me one day, he's like, if you don't finish this, I'm leaving. I have other projects to do. I have other things going on, and you need to get your You need to get your stuff together. So I got it done. I mean, that was it. I mean, and especially it was my money going into it. You know, I bootstrap my projects, and then I go to Kickstarter when I'm ready to do it. And it's tough, but we managed to get it done. The 3 distinctive art styles. The first style is more of like a fairy tale type of story telling, and I hired Nick Bell to do that. And when we get to the darker periods of my grandfather's life, I hired Vasilis Gogzilis. He's based out of Greece, and he has kind of like this Bill Sienkiewicz-y feel to his art. And for the war scenes, I hired Dan Doherty to really like capture the realism of the front lines. And then the art retracts to it goes back to Vasily's style because things get dark. My grandfather got pulled off the front lines and thrown into a Russian prison camp. And then the story ends with how he meets my grandmother. So it goes back to that fairy tale type of style that Nick Bell brought in. So it took a very long time to put together, but I'm very, very proud of it. It's a very wonderful book, and it's only going for $15. So just letting everybody know all that information there.
Onrie understands this. Always be selling, right?
Yes, ABC, ABS.
So the other thing that I love is that I don't know how you decided on writing Yushu Shin, but when you pitch the book, it almost feels like it can't be real. Like that can't have really happened. But to wrap your mind around the fact that that's totally, you're just telling history in the most entertaining way. Like, how did you decide on him?
Well, it was because of that very fact that it's like, there's no way this guy could have done this. There's no way anybody could have done this. And, what really made me realize I could do Yisun Shin was 300, of course, because, you read the graphic novel and it's like, there's no way 300 Spartans, took on the entire Persian military and like beat them so badly, like they lost all taste for war in 3 days. Yeah. I mean, it happened, and that's the thing that's brilliant about military tactics is it's really kind of like a game of chess. There's so many factors. And Yisun Shin was unparalleled when it came to strategy because he was really faced with outstanding circumstances that if he literally lost one battle, that was it for Korea. He was not in a position to lose. And he had a very short amount of time to not only build out a very small and pathetic navy, it was maybe about 15 ships total at first. He didn't have the resources or the support from the government. He was basically learning everything about naval combat a year before the Japanese invaded. When in his first battle, in the Battle of Akpo, that was his first naval battle ever in history. And in 2 hours, he ends up killing 4,000 Japanese soldiers and sinking like the entire fleet that he went up against. And up to that point, the Japanese had already invaded Korea and were basically just like, the samurai were just like burning down villages, raping women, enslaving children, killing elderly people, just doing horrible, horrible things.
Classy.
Oh, they were brutal. It was just the nature of it because, and it's not even that they were not people of honor. The Japanese, they have a tremendous view of honor. It was really Hideyoshi Toyotomi who was basically like, Korea is yours, guys. You do what you want. This is your place to be stupid and, behave however you want, And the entire Korean military didn't stand a chance against the Japanese. They were too ready for combat. They had been beating the crud out of each other for 100 years, and now they were strong, they were united, and they had advanced weaponry. There was no way Yisun Shin would have been able to fight the Japanese on land. So he took them to sea, and every single time he used the sea, he was able to use cannons, which had much more range and much more power than the Japanese rifle. And they were basically like sitting ducks out there. And it was also the positioning because the Japanese learned they weren't stupid. You're talking about one of the strongest military powers in the world, even today, by today's standards. The Japanese are still a strong military. And, this guy, Yisun Shin, I mean, he had the drop on all them fools. And even when he had to go up, there were points when he was so outnumbered, he actually had to fight. There was a battle where he killed an enemy commander, cut off his head, hung it on the mast of his ship, and said, "We will attack again." And that's just a testament to, to man in general, and that's
a message.
well, yeah. Well, just to mankind, I should say, not man.
Yeah, I
mankind,
know.
But yeah, like it's a testament to the fact that we can all do whatever we put our minds to, and there's no limitation to that. Like, and I think you guys, just with all of the stuff that you contribute to comics and what you're continuing to contribute, is really speaks to that idea that there's nothing's impossible. And Yushin saved Korea. He saved his people. How many times do you hear about this in history that like someone tries to save everybody but then gets killed and everybody ends up dying anyway, like Spartacus? What a sad story. Like he tried to free slaves and he ends up dying, and then they all end up dying too. That wasn't the case with Yushin. He beat the Japanese so badly that they stayed away from Korea for 400 years because they thought he was like inhuman. And, the Koreans kept telling him like, yeah, he's still alive. And they believed it. It was pretty funny until they realized that no one lives to be 400. So,
yeah, except for the Yao Bikuni, but she ate mermaid meat.
All right, everybody. This is crazy. You guys know what just happened?
What's that?
Shut this thing down. This is you're the final panel with guests for all of the experience. This is 36 hours of programming in which I don't think Kyle got to sleep a wink in the last 3 days.
I don't think you got to sleep much either, Jen. You've been working like crazy hours. Like I wake up at 6:30 in the morning and I'll see like a post from Jen. I'll be like, wow, she's up already. Crazy.
I pre-apologize to everyone for having to see my face way too much this weekend. Apologize.
Your face is lovely, dear. It's lovely.
So everybody,
I can actually count on two hands.
Your socials. Tell everyone where they can find you. Where can they find to link up with you and find your work?
On Instagram, I am at Dr. Fu, DOTCAFOO. On Twitter, I am Afua Richardson, AFUA Richardson. You can also find me at afuarichardson.com, and I'm on Facebook under my name as well.
Thank you, Mog.
Okay, mine's very simple. Mog Park. Okay, Instagram, Facebook. That's it. Oh, also ArtStation. But I just want to make an announcement for you guys. Please follow me after this. I'm having a live auction, and I'm going to be drawing, painting my auction pieces and stuff like that. It's going to be happening after this show on my page, Mog Park, Facebook. So please come by, say hi, and maybe we can talk more.
The party keeps on going. I love it. Onrie.
I'm clicking.
Are you?
All right, guys, I'm about to jump on PBSN. The Comic Book Shopping Network. If you guys haven't joined the Comic Book Shopping Network, do so now. I have a show on there that airs every Wednesday and Thursday. And I'm also on my own show as well on my own network. So friend me on Facebook, Onrie Kompan. Follow me on Instagram, Kompan. Like my page, Hunter Killer Collectibles, Yisun Shin comic book. We got lots of new comics coming out this year. Awesome stuff's about to happen. Rock on! Come on out here. We're gonna sell some comics. Yeah, sorry.
Man, you need to keep your energy, get your energy higher.
Right? I need more coffee.
Onrie needs to switch to decaf.
No.
I usually don't eat until like 4:00 in the afternoon, and
Same.
I'm just on water all day. So.
I always need Onrie in my life. I can just call him up. We'll do a video chat. My energy goes from like here to there.
Right?
That. Well, it's so great being with Mog and Afua. I love you guys. It's such an honor.
Thank you so
much. I love you guys too, man. Afua, I mean, this is like our first official meet.
I know, right?
Yeah, man, I love you.
We have to
Love
eat
you,
hang out more
Onrie.
often.
Mhm.
Okay.
Connections have been made. I love it. I love it.
Yes.
I too must have Moog on my covers.
Oh my God.
Oh, totally.
I will save all my pennies. Many, many, many.
Oh, I
Perfect.
would definitely love to talk more about creative processes with you guys, but
I can.
unfortunately, it's the time. You guys finally Gen Con, you guys can rest.
We anytime you guys want to come on and do interviews separately or together, the experience is always going to have time for you guys. That's what we're here for, is to
Yay.
give you exposure and point people to what you're putting together, and extend the love of comic books to everyone we can.
We love you guys. That's awesome.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome. Kyle, Jen, you guys, awesome. Awesome. All right. Sorry.
All right. All right. So I'm gonna do this.